All right, so we had another pretty decent day today. Overall, the market went down about 100 points, which is 0.4%, and we have a gain. So again, made about 630 bucks roughly in the market. Even when the stock market's down, we make money, just based on the portfolio that we are showing today. So overall today, obviously with it being a little bit of we're up 1.5%. It's going to be a mixed bag, mostly green, a little bit more than green, but about average in what we held, and then what we didn't hold. Man, it's all green. So, which is okay. Well, until we get to the bottom here, it's a little bit more red. So specifically, some winners that we had here, or notables that we had here today. Braemar Resorts went down 9%, and they're doing casinos. I think that's a little bit of a blip. I'm really not too worried about them. If we look over the last week, they're up 9%, even with today's loss. But their trend line, so over the last month, it was up here, kind of went down. The trend line's been going up, but we'll see what happens. But they've been a nice performer for what we have in our portfolio. Menlo Therapeutics, again, we have a 100% buy rating for these people, so it's an absolute no-brainer. They went up 12% today, which is a beautiful thing. And over the last week, kind of a more spiky gain, so it's boom, and then after hours, it jumps. We like that. Over the last month, definitely a really good trend line upward. And they hit their bottom at about $1 a share. They're trading at $2.25. And we got them at $1.65. So we're doing pretty good there. Full House Resorts, they do casinos, hospitality, and entertainment. Silver Slipper Casino and Hotel, Bronco Billy's, Rising Star Casino, and Northern Nevada. So they're smaller hotels, but they're hotels. And this segment's always going to do really good. So it hit its bottom about St. Patty's Day, which most of them did. It hit 37 cents a share. It's now at $2. Geez, that would be a 6 times. If we bought that, we would have had a 5 to 6 time return. I mean, that's awesome. If we put $2,000 in there, we'd have 10 grand sitting there right now. Over the last month, obviously, really, really good as states begin to reopen. That's kind of what you see right here, and they're jumping up. So we'll take a look at, basically our February 20th day. They were at 355. They're sitting at 2. So, yeah, it's about, I don't know. I could guess, or I could just take a look. Full House Resorts, they're sitting at a 1.89 ratio, which is not the greatest, but they're a casino, so we might look at them later on. If we get some dip down here, we might try to buy it if it hits down at like 130. Let's see, where are they at? They were at 355. So yeah, so if they were to go down, let's say at about there, maybe we'll buy it because they're a casino, and we're gonna, look at the trend line. They're going upward. So they were at 187, and then right when everything went to crap, they were at 355. So they might even have a bigger upside. So I think what we're going to do is we're going to mark them as yellow. And Century Casinos, those are the same thing there. So, all right. So that being said, we'll go to Century Casinos. And they went up 22% today. So, again, this whole sector is blowing up right now. Ever since the state started opening casinos and the sentiment was positive, you start to see that move. Over the last month, same thing. It wanted to go up, hit a little bit of a roadblock, hit its bottom right here at about 329, and it's sitting at 5 right now. And then over the last one, this one was relatively the same. I don't know, it was between $8.50 and $9. Took the dive on February 20th at $8.17 a share. We're sitting at 5. So if it were to go back down to like 3, which I don't see it happening, even $3.50, maybe we'll take a look at it. Hence the reason we have it in yellow. Just a quick reminder for us to look at it down the line. But just for today, they went up 22%. That sector is awesome. All right, so we're going to take a look at our upside chart right now. And we have everything plugged in at end of day. Again, I'm not a real big make a decision during the day. Let's see where things are going during the day. I always like to see it after hours, make very deliberate, calculated decisions on what we want to do. If the market goes up or down, if it goes up, is there anything that we are looking to sell, and make the decision before that encounter happens. And then if it goes down, is there anything that we want to buy, and make the decision before it ever happens. What a lot of people make the mistake of doing is they'll actually look at something surging and they'll go, oh, this went up 10%. It's a big stock. I'm going to go ahead and buy it, which is really stupid. It's not how good decision makers make decisions. So we'll take a look at it when everything calms down. So that's what we're doing. All right. So with that being said, we had a couple of our limit buys happen today. We had Yuko happen at 23.50, and we'll talk about Yuko here. And again, this one, it's ironically, I just had that whole thing about, oh my gosh, the stock is going up. Let's take a look at it. But it's not an emotional buy. We had a situation where when oil was crashing due to the lowering of demand, they had a reverse split right here. And that's why you see right here, because they don't even track the shares before a reverse split. And basically, reverse split says for every 25 shares you own, we're going to give you 1 share. Well, I owned like a ridiculous amount of shares. So I think we had 126 shares at the time. Then oil went negative $40. That's where you see this. Or I'm sorry, that's where the reverse split, because oil was dropping. And then it went up because people realized it probably dropped too much. And then oil went negative 40 right here. And it was at about 12.31. And so we were down like 70% on this stock. And I just said, okay, well, if it ever hits 25, then I realized 20 is probably a better marker, then we'll do it. And so basically over the last month, that's kind of where you see right here, it's just gone up and up and up and up, a very nice steep trajectory. And so, yeah, so it's gone up from 12 to 13 to 16 to 18 to 22. And I had an order at 21.50, I think, or 21, and I realized, well, it's never going to do that. So I'm just going to put it at 23.50 because we want to get additional shares in and lock in a lower cost basis. Because right now our cost basis for Yuko was 31, I think. So we wanted to get that down. So with that being said, we bought another 50 shares and lowered our cost basis down to $29.83. We're only 20% off our total. And this is definitely moving in the right direction quick. So it really doesn't take much for us to break even at this point. And then everything else beyond that is a massive upside. So if it gets to where it was on February 20th, the stock price is going to be around $400. So it's just a massive, massive upside for what we're looking for. So we took that and bought that. So we'll clear that out. And we'll get that out of candidates as well. All right, and then we have our next top two are IVR and MFA, and those are just, I can't find any news whatsoever on them. And although those numbers are really high, especially the 652, I just think it's a little bit of a trap or a sucker bet unless we hear something, some movement, maybe some people that are saying, hey, this is a buy, or it's overweight, or it's underpriced, or something on there. But until I hear something, I'm not touching it. Same with MFA. And they have a margin call coming up pretty soon. So we're going to see probably in the next 3 to 4 weeks what we're going to do with that. So beyond that, we also bought GNC, which I talked about last night. I said I would take another look at it. And I'm like, dude, it's screaming for a merger or acquisition. Somebody's going to buy it off of the operating table. And that's what Warren Buffett always says. He likes to buy companies when they're going through temporary crises, and they like to buy them off the operating table. So I bought it at 50 cents a share for 1,500 shares, and we'll kind of see what happens on this as it goes forward. But yeah, we'll see it. And let's say it craters, not a big deal. It's $750. It's not that much. But if it goes up to, let's say, the original price that it was at on February 20th, 224, we'll just call it 225, just for a round number. It makes us a good $2,500. So this one's just a flyer that we took a flyer on. All right. So with that being said, We have Velocity Financial and Azul. We have GNC. And then kind of the same cast of characters, Safe, Play, and Viad. And again, this is Spirit Airlines. Nothing here really changed. Nothing really jumped. Again, the market didn't move all that much. The Dow went down. Ours went up a little bit. So nothing really changed all that much. Azul, I was looking at that earlier today, and it's almost at break-even point. And I was considering making a change on that, but I just thought, unless I have a reason to do something, I'm not going to make that change. So that being said, we're still kind of where we want to be. The ones in blue are the ones that we don't have a whole lot of equity in right now, but those are down the line at 3.5. And I would say the only one, if I did buy one, would be Two Harbors, but there's no reason to do it yet. And realistically, what I'm looking for, as we see, let's go back to our chart. As we see this, as we look at our value go up, we'll go over the last month. Okay, so this is kind of what we're doing over the last month. I'm kind of hoping a little bit for a drop down. And it's crazy to say that. I mean, we always want our stocks to just race up, but not necessarily. I want to see if there's a little bit of a chance for a targeted drop down where some of these stocks that we want to buy, we can get a little bit of a discount on and then have it take the next jump up. So maybe it continues going up, but maybe it goes down. That's fine too. It'll just give us an opportunity to get some targeted buys and to lower our cost basis. Good news, we talked about yesterday, we wanted to hit 50,000. We are now over 50,000 in our portfolio. So that is awesome. The next stop is 75,000. And the next stop after that is six figures, which means I'm going to have to widen out this column. All right, so let's take a look for tomorrow. It's a little bit early. Right now it's 3 o'clock on the West Coast, 6 o'clock on the East Coast. Right now it's a little bit in the positive, 22. It's a mixed bag around the world. Basically 0.8% for the Dow, 0.7% for S&P, 0.6% for NASDAQ. Small caps are 0.16. Most of ours are in small caps, so that's kind of a good sign. The VIX, which is a volatility index, is down, which is good. That usually means that prices are probably going to go up a little bit more. But there's no major outlier here. I think the AEX, I'm not even sure what that is. I'm not sure if that's Arab or Arabian or whatever it is. Who knows? Is really much. Looks like the Russian one is down a little bit. Hong Shang and China are down. I think that's a lot of it just with the politics that are going on in Russia, in China. And China is basically taking a very authoritarian step toward Hong Kong. So people are kind of getting a little squishy about them. Take another look at one of the other Dow futures. Take a look at the CNN one. And what I like about them is they put a couple things here. Stocks impacted most by COVID and the least. Nothing on the positive side and nothing on the negative side. We never get this on. We never get up on top of here, which is ironic because most of what we're investing is from COVID. So here comes the U.S. crackdown on China stocks. Let's kind of read this. I haven't even looked at this yet. Oh, by the way, Luckin Coffee has a major financial scandal. They were cooking their books. As soon as you hear that, you run away from that stock forever. Do not go anywhere near any stock where they're cooking their books. But they were basically like a Chinese version of Starbucks. Let's see. Boom, boom, boom. Taking steps in with limited. Okay. So they would prevent companies that refuse to open their books from listing on Wall Street. And I think that's part of the Luckin thing is that they knew they were cooking their books and they don't want to have companies that are going to be just basically lying about their financials to have a listing on Wall Street. NASDAQ did a trio of rules that would make it tough for Chinese companies to go public on the exchange. They moved to delist Luckin Coffee. Duh. I mean, you get accounting fraud. You should be delisted, not every time, but pretty much every time, especially if you're a foreign company on a U.S. stock exchange. If you have an accounting scandal on that side, then that's not shocker. U.S. government pension fund had $600 billion in assets. They are not going to be investing in Chinese stocks. So I'd say it's interesting to see that happen. So that explains why we're seeing the Hang Seng and the China H shares down on that regard. So all right, so yeah, it's point up one. It's moving up a little bit. Again, I don't ever look at this in mid-afternoon and make any decisions, but I mean, it's positive a little, but it's relatively break even. We're going to take a look at this later tonight. Usually I do it right before bed and get a sense on this and take one last look. But seeing how things are right now, we're just going to leave Velocity and Azul in place. And if they come through, they come through. We have United and American. American's not anywhere near their sale price, but United is. And just for those who haven't watched this lately, I have United with a cost basis of 29.24. If it just eclipses that a little bit up to a roundup number, we're going to sell it. Same thing with American. American, I have it 15.35. If it rounds up to 15.50, we'll sell it. But I don't think this is happening anytime soon. Azul is just about to be out of the red, which is beautiful. And pretty soon, Yuko is going to be out of the red. So overall, it's looking pretty good. If we look at our holdings or overall projections of the stocks that we currently own, the ones there are paced to get a total value of $228,000 for a 568% return. Plus the limit orders adds another 10, so we're up about 237 for a 568 return. And then so far, our total return, we're like at the bottom of the market too, is 22%, but that number is going to go up dramatically. Even the ones we have holdings in right now actively are at about 30%, and then the ones since we've bought it, and based on these are all our deposits that we put into Robinhood, about 25,000, we've doubled our investment. So with that being said, in the video description, if you don't have Robinhood, go ahead and click on the link and you'll get a free stock. And full disclosure, so do I, but big deal. The last stock that I got, the last stock that I got when I opened this up was Groupon at 1 share. So whoop-de-freaking-do. It's worth $1.24. Not even enough to spend on Groupon. Also, if you want to access this spreadsheet, play around with it, cheat, use it, copy it, whatever, you can do that as well. There's a link in the video. Other than that, big picture sentiment, states are opening up, and I was watching the news today, and kind of the big sense was that you have citizens in one state that are opening up faster, are spurring jealousy and envy from citizens of other states who are not opening up, and they're getting really mad at their government and their governor, and they're putting pressure on their government to open up. So you're going to see this giant push to open up at kind of a faster rate than you've seen before. Additionally, one of the things and I was watching a couple shows today, and the commonality was people are like, these moving goalposts are a joke. First it was 14 days to slow the virus, then it was 30, and that's pushing it. Now we're over 2 months later, and they're changing, like, now we need a cure, or now we need testing, or now we need all these things. And people are like, screw it. And you see people getting arrested and cited. And in California, there's like, I think 1,200 churches. They're going to have services, if it's not this weekend, next weekend. And they're basically just saying, go ahead and try to throw 1,200 pastors in jail. They're not going to do it, especially in a lot of counties in California. They're not going to do it. So the best thing that's going to open up our country and get things started is jealousy and envy. If you live in a state like I do, where the governor is very, very hesitant to open up, and yet every state around them is opening up, then people are, they're getting jealous, and they want to be part of that. Also, the other thing that I was looking at, if you looked, we invest heavily in casinos. I mean, not heavily, but a decent amount. Every's our ATM company, El Dorado Resorts, Red Rock Resorts, Braemar Resorts. Basically, those are ones where we see as it opens up, people are going to go there. Las Vegas is 90% of Nevada's economy, and living in San Diego, I can tell you that when people are restless and they want to get out, they're going to go to Vegas. Trust me, they're going to go to Vegas. That demand is going to explode. And right now the problem is, from an economic standpoint, we don't have a supply problem. That's what we had in '08, where the banks stopped lending money. They freezed lines of credit. They freezed home equity lines of credit. And people, couldn't do anything because it was a supply problem. Right now it's a demand problem. But the really cool thing about that is that it's a government-imposed demand problem. It's not like, there's a nuclear bomb that went off and nobody has money, right? It's like as soon as the government says you can open, the demand, it's like literally a self-inflicted wound. As soon as the government comes up and says you can open again, demand is going to pop up. And I personally think there's a ton of pent-up demand. So again, if you haven't invested, I think we're just past the bottom of the U-shaped curve. And if you haven't invested, you need to get something in now. And you can use some of the ideas that I have if you want. But I'm just walking you through how I'm doing it. So we're not making crazy investments. If you've noticed, and I'm sure for those who have been watching this, I have yet to do one option. I haven't done any calls or puts. I haven't done that at all because I think you're basically paying into a bet that you may or may not change your mind. I love limit orders because they're free and you can change your mind and you can cancel them at any time and there's no penalty. But also I make decisions after hours and I want to take a deep look at all these stocks and not have to feel like there's a clock on me. And as a result, we get PVAC, which I've owned for 3 weeks. We've doubled our stock on that. Braemar Resorts has doubled as well. Crestwood Equity, this REIT is at 150%. But the ones that are going to explode, I think, well, Eldorado Resorts for sure because they're about to buy Caesars Palace, and Every, it's got a 100% buy rate. This one's about to explode as well. So just some things to think about. We'll see you tomorrow. One last look before we go at our industries. And yeah, it's going up slowly. Not a whole lot, but it's going up slowly. But we'll take a look at this tonight, make some decisions, and we'll go from there. See you tomorrow. To get more information on the sales cheat code, go ahead and click on the subscribe button below. Also, down below in the video description, down there, there's a link that takes you to our website that gives you additional content, some additional freebies that we have, and gives you information on some programs that we have that have been proven to help people to make sales easy so that you can make the kind of money you want, live the lifestyle that you've always wanted, and not have to struggle in the process. And what might be the coolest thing of all is you don't have to put much effort into it. It truly is a cheat code that most people don't know about. And it's a cheat code that can change your life today. So click on the link below and let me help you start to experience these results starting right now.